We are back here at Barber Motorsports Park for race number 2 of the BellissiMoto Twins Cup Championship, part of Superbikes at Barber, celebrating the 10th anniversary of the MotoAmerica Championship. And we have a very different slate of weather here for race number 2 of BellissiMoto's Twins Cup riders. Yesterday, if you remember, that one was run in complete rain. The track was soaked. There were puddles all over the place, and Avery Dreyer was able to make the most of it, come away with victory. Take a look at these highlights, though, Roger.
Yeah, look at the highlights. Look how wet this track was yesterday for these guys. Alessandro Di Mario, really good start for him there from pole position. See all these guys trying to figure out not a lot of track time in the wet going into this race. Alessandro looked really good early on. Dominic Doyle looks good as well. So you can just see all Avery there on the white bike there. They're slipping, they're sliding. Avery making another move here toward the end of the track right there around Dominic on the outside. Wasn't able to make the pass. But here you can just see the confidence that Avery had. Early on, we had some guys crash out. Luckily, they were all up and okay on be out there today. But then the race was between Alessandro and Avery from here, and Alessandro had a pretty big lead, and then this happened. Turn 2, really easy to do there, but the bike snapped around on him so fast, he didn't have an opportunity to save it. And from there, Avery just got out and just managed consistent laps, watched his pit board, didn't push any harder than he had to, and gets his first Twins Cup victory.
You see Avery doing the Max Van out there. It was Max Van who started the push-ups after a victory, and he certainly earned celebrating that one. But one of the things that I heard from Alessandro Di Mario out there on the grid in that interview with Michael Hill was his confidence isn't nearly as high as what it was when we talked to him on Friday, and he had such a big gap on the rest of the field. He crashed out of that race in the rain, and now he needs to get it back.
Yeah, and then he crashed in qualifying too, so that's 2 sessions in a row that he crashed, so it kind of dings his confidence a little bit. But I think the track being dry, and hopefully he can get out there and get a good start, and if he can get in his own rhythm, I think he can maybe build that confidence back. When you go racing, he's a young rider, and that's something that he's going to have to be able to bounce back from, is those crashes and then getting out there and going racing.
See Kayla Yakov out there with Rocco Landers, keeping him in the shade. She did have the Sonic mask on just a moment ago when she was out there getting ready for her Super Sport race. Rocco was returning this favor, so it's great to see the camaraderie that exists here in the MotoAmerica paddock in between the various classes. But look at the focus on the face of Rocco Landers. Let's get back down to Michael Hill.
Yeah, absolutely full focus from Rocco, full focus from Gus and from Alessandro on the front row of the grid. Just as Jason to me on the start of the second row, this is Rossi Moore, the second of the new Suzukis, where he's going to be one to watch, as is this guy here at Top Yamaha yesterday. Of course, that was Dominic Doyle for the Giacomoto, and also Romeo Chiavini. We spoke to him during Mike on the Mic. He is absolutely ready for this one. We are going to clear the grid. Look out for Chris Parrish on the 128. He is the first ever champion, and just look how many riders are here. Jack Roach as well will be one to watch. It's going to be a very different race, Jamie. The sun is shining, there's no rain, there's no puddles. Who is going to win this one is, well, your guess is as good as mine. Couldn't call it.
No, this one is going to be exciting, and you hear the horn right now. You see all of the team personnel leaving the grid as these riders are going to get ready for their warm-up lap. Roger, let's take a look once again at Barber Motorsports Park, and in this track, it's 2.38 miles, 17 turns.
It's a beautiful track and a beautiful facility. Everybody loves this track. The elevation is a lot of fun. Starting right away through turn 1 and all the way up through 3 and 4 is a lot of elevation. Not able to see on the other side, and turn 5, the hardest braking corner on this track. In this Twins Cup race, you're going to see a lot of passing through there. Through turn 8, that really fast chicane, 10 and 11 is so fast on the Twins Cup bikes. Turn 12's down, up 13 over that rise, long right-hander. You're on the right side of that tire for a long time through the last corner into 17. Important to get a good run out of there. We have seen some Twins Cup races come down to the line.
Yes, if we look back at the gap in finishing so far this season, we've had some of them as close as 0.7 of a second. So this one's going to come all the way down. Let's take a look at the starting grid as these riders continue to complete this warm-up lap. We've already heard from our pole sitter, Alessandro Di Mario. We saw him early on. He crashed out of that race yesterday, so he's going to have to make up some ground today. And you look alongside of him in row number 1 is Gus Rodeo, his teammate, then Rocco Landers, who we saw out there on the grid. Row number 2, Rossi Moore, Dominic Doyle, and Romeo Chiavini.
Then we got Chris Parrish, Ron Max Johnson, and Jack Roach. Good weekend for him so far. Yesterday's winner, Avery Dreyer, starting 10th. Cassidy Heiser, podium yesterday. And Sean Youngbarski, 12th.
And Sean had a great run going until he also ran into a trouble there in that rain. See what he can do in the dry. Row number 5, Tyler Duffy, Jeff Bean, and Trevor Standish is out there with Giacomo Manera, Joseph Bittner, and Ned Brown making up row number 6.
Row 7, Jeffrey Perk, Eddie Kay, and Rich Foster.
Row 8, you've got Rodney Best, Brogdon Richards, and Graham Williams. A lot of riders. We had a full field out here this weekend. As we look now at the riders all making their way to the starting grid, finding their starting boxes and getting ready to go racing. These last couple of seconds, Roger, how tense can these be?
Really tense, especially for a lot of these guys. They're so young and they're still trying to figure out how to relax themselves before the race. You've seen how locked in Gus was. They know how important this start's going to be.
And you can look at the experience and the nerves on some of these riders as you see Gus Rodeo making sure he's back just far enough. The lights are up. They're on. The revs are up. And it is time to race here in the second round of competition at Barber Motorsports Park. And it looked like that third place starter, Rocco Landers, he had a tremendous go.
Yeah, great start for Rocco Landers. They're going to lead him out of turn 1. Also a really good start for Rossi Moore there. Got himself into third already.
As you watch them come up over that hill, you can see that front group is already starting to form a little bit of a gap just in these opening corners, being able to push hard.
Alessandro DeMario making a pass early on Rossi Moore. He talked about confidence might be dinged a little bit. Looks like he's got plenty of confidence now. Rocco gets not a very good job out of turn 5 and loses a couple spots.
And he had a little bit of a bobble there. He's going to have to put his head down, just keep going.
Gus led the warm-up this morning, so I think for him was set out that first qualifier Friday with the migraine. I think leading that warm-up this morning did a lot for Gus, and we know when the race comes, Gus always finds his way toward the front.
You see Jack Roach in the shot right there, right at the tail end of Dominic Doyle, and then Chris Parrish is leading that second group that you see splitting away just a little bit, still on this first lap of a 14-lap race.
Looks like the top 4 guys are trying to make a little bit of a break there. Dominic Doyle's going to have to be careful there not to get too far back early on in this race. And Jack Roach, a good start for him down there, getting pretty close to that top group.
For Gus Rodeo being able to get back into the mix of things and have a clean start early. We saw him do this at Daytona where he was able to get ahead of the field and without anybody in front of him and no traffic to worry about, he was able to just ride away.
And I think he just has the confidence. You know, I think Gus, especially this year, is riding with a lot of confidence, able to get out in the lead. He's got some experience. He really is able not to make a lot of mistakes when he's in the lead, and I think that's what really makes him so strong, is he doesn't make a lot of mistakes and he can click those laps off. Rocco Landers, another mistake there in turn 5, and you can see Alessandro DeMario and Gus, these 2 riders are starting to kind of pull away from the rest of the group.
Being on a team and having that atmosphere where they're able to help one another and go off of each other, and you see them both looking over their shoulder to see what kind of gap they're building. That has to make a big difference, especially in a category like this where the competition is so tight.
And I think it's big for Alessandro DeMario to have a teammate who said rider down. Looks like they're up and going to try to remount. But for Alessandro DeMario to have a teammate like Gus, I think is really huge for him to ask questions and work together. And also for the team, 2 riders at the front can elevate everyone.
Rocco Landers starting to get a drift of those front 2 just a little bit. The gap right now over a second, but he has Rossi Moore right behind him, and Dominic Doyle is right behind him, and we know that Dominic is one of those riders who studies who's in front of him, and he's ready to pounce at any moment.
Yeah, Dominic is for sure one of the guys that gets faster as the race goes on. Seems like he gets more comfortable the more that the tires get a couple laps on him, so Dom has closed down this group a little bit. But you can see the top 2 guys have definitely pulled out to about a second lead.
That was one thing that Dominic said after the race yesterday that was held in complete wet conditions, was he was really looking forward to the race today because his team has put in so much work and effort in making sure that they had a really good race pace set up in dry conditions, and wanted to put it to the test today.
And Alessandro DiMario now has the opportunities behind Gus, can kind of see where he's faster at, maybe see some areas where he can improve. Looked like Rossi Moore tried to make a pass on Rocco into turn 5, but wasn't able to hold it.
Scoring pylon is shuffling just a little bit. You are looking at the race leader. That is the 96 of Gus Rodeo. His teammate Alessandro DiMario on that number 27 is right behind him in second place.
And Alessandro looks like he's ready to make a move. He's right behind him. He's looking inside. He's looking outside. I think he feels like he has a little bit more pace, but it is his teammate. It's early in the race, so he's going to be sure to try to make it clean.
These two are really just riding in a different race at this point. We're only on lap 3 of lap 14, but you can see the gap, and as they come across the stripe, we'll be able to see what it is in terms of numbers. It's 1.8 seconds between Rocco Landers and Alessandro DiMario, but only 0.8 of a second separated these two, and they're really just neck and neck, just watching each other.
Yeah, neck and neck, and they're just each other. See how much better Rocco is through that, or Gus is better in that turn 2 there. He's able to pull a little bit of a gap, and then we get to the middle part of the track right here where it seems like Alessandro DiMario is really strong, and they're just kind of going back and forth.
Looks like Dominic Doyle, the good run, trying to make that move around Rossi Moore and make up one position.
He got a really good run there out of turn 5 there and was able to make that pass on Rossi Moore. Now he's got one more guy to go. Rocco Landers, if he's going to want to try to chase down these leaders, he's going to have to make this move pretty quick on Rocco, because last lap they pulled out to about a 2-second lead, and I bet now it's a little bit more.
You can see Dominic not only made that pass stick, but he's also pulling ahead just a little bit. Different riders are better at different parts of this racetrack, and so we're going to see this gap go back and forth a little bit. But up front, it is still Gus Rodeo leading his teammate Alessandro DiMario. Let's get down to Michael Hill.
Yeah, thanks, Jamie. Just watching the same pictures as you down here in the pit lane. It's an enthralling fight, isn't it, between the two teammates, the 96 and the 27, as DiMario just takes a cheeky little look on the inside. There's no way through. A question really for Roger. Obviously, you've had plenty of teammates in the past. With regards to Rodeo, he's had different teammates, a couple of them actually behind him. Rocco was teammates with him last year. He's used to racing, isn't he, with the likes of Rocco Landers, Dominic Doyle and Rossi Moore. He doesn't have any experience, really, of racing with DiMario. DiMario doesn't have any experience of racing with Rodeo. How do you think this is going to play out? Because obviously on paper you would say Rodeo is the team leader. He's the most experienced of the two. But DiMario not being intimidated by the elder statesman in that team, is he? He's definitely riding beyond his 15 years.
Well, I think they both can just work together and be strong, and as the year goes on, try to help each other. When it's your teammate, early on in the race, you might not take that questionable pass that you might take on early on. And Alessandro DiMario looks like he's being patient right now and, following Gus and just learning.
You see Dominic Doyle has now been able to make that move around Rocco Landers as well. So Dominic Doyle has moved himself up into 3rd position in contention now for a podium finish. The question is, can he close this gap and get any closer to these two teammates, as Alessandro DiMario is now leading Gus Rodeo, so he was able to make that move.
Yeah, probably a good run out of 13 over that hill a little bit, and we've seen Alessandro do some 28s in qualifying. Now he's going to have some clean track, and we'll see if he'll be able to replicate those times now that he has the lead.
And he was also able to follow Gus Rodeo for several laps and see where he's stronger and potentially correct whatever issues he needs to clean up to be able to hold him behind him.
See Rossi Moore now right here behind Rocco, trying to hang on to these 3 guys. This is a good spot for Rossi Moore, another young rider able to be racing against a couple guys with a little more experience than him.
For all of them, having Rocco out there with all of the success that he has had in this Twins Cup platform and coming back to it now for a full season in 2024 after not being out there for several seasons. He is the winningest driver with this Twins Cup class. He has 16 total wins. in this category, but certainly the competition has stepped up over the last couple of seasons. And if Rocco's going to get another Twins Cup championship, he's really going to have to fight for it.
He's going to have to fight, and like you said, the competition's really stepped up. A lot of the younger riders in Junior Cup have came up and Twins Cup and been fast right away. They didn't need a year to get used to the bikes, and Gus is coming back after a really strong year. So Rocco's going to have to be on his game. Dominic Doyle also another guy that's really stepped up his riding this year and cleaned up a lot of mistakes.
For Rocco, it's a new team. He is competing with them in 2 different categories in Mission King of the Baggers aboard the Harley Davidson, here of the Suzuki. So there's a lot of new things to learn. You talked about it this weekend, able to put his full attention here this weekend to Twins Cup. As you see his team relaying information to him right now, he is P4 plus nothing on lap 8 of this race. So he knows that there is a little bit of work that he still is going to have to do, or he's going to continue to fall back.
And for Rocco, the team, and even for Rossi Moore, same situation, that they're both on the Suzuki. It's new. They didn't get a lot of time before the season started. So I think those guys are learning every session they head out. You see Rocco now, looks like he's going to try and make a move on the brakes down into 5. He's going to make it. Big thing is he's got to keep it tight and not let Dominic come under him.
Rossi was right there. Another thing to note, now that we have 8 laps to go in this race, is that the race yesterday was meant to be 14 laps as well, but with the rain and the conditions, it was shortened down to a 7-lap race. So this is going to be the longest run that these riders are getting on these bikes this weekend.
Yeah, they're not going to be able to go from that first race and use what they learned to make some changes overnight going in to today, being a wet race yesterday. So now we're getting into lap 7. We're going to get toward the end of the race. It's going to be a lot of unknowns for these riders when the tires start to go off.
For a rider like Rocco that you see right there mid-pack, knowing that he has Rossi Moore right on his tail, Roger, and Dominic Doyle's already made those moves, and he's already been passed by a couple of others. How does he get into the rhythm that he needs in order to be able to fight at the end?
Just try to get comfortable. You know, that's the thing when you're behind like Rocco. You want to make a pass, but at the same time, you don't want to leave the door open if you don't make the pass, and then Rossi Moore is able to come by. But Rossi Moore is doing a great job right now. He looks like he has a little bit more pace than those guys in front of him. He just hasn't been able to make that good, clean pass yet. He's going to get a good run down in here to turn 5. We've seen this move last lap, and Rocco wasn't close enough this time.
But Rossi Moore has been there for the last couple of laps, and I'd like to think that he's just learning and picking up different little notes each and every time. So Rocco's going to have to still stay in defense mode here.
And this is, you know, Rossi's first year in Twins Cup, so he's learning a lot about the bike. Atlanta, he had a crash on Saturday, missed that first race. So this is, you know, he hasn't had a lot of really long races in the dry in Twins Cup, so it's going to be a good opportunity for him to be able to get out here behind Rocco and Dominic and just learn and see what it's going to be like toward the end of the race. You see he tries to make a move there. That's a brave pass.
Wasn't able to complete it as riders are now coming through a little bit of traffic.
See Alessandro DiMario, looks like he's opened up last lap a little bit over a half a second. We'll see this time as they come by the stripe. Just seems like a couple tenths lap he's able to pull away Rocco Landers, Rossi Moore, Dominic Doyle. They're matching the leader's pace, but early on the 2 guys at the front just built that little gap.
Yeah, if you look at the lap times that are being turned right now, the top 5 all the way back into Rossi Moore, they're all turning 130.2s, each and every one of them. It all came down to how hard do you push on those opening laps, and really with several laps still to go in this race, will those leaders, did they push too hard, Roger? Are they going to have enough to hold them off?
I think they just they got the gap where they can kind of manage the pit board, and I think for Alessandro, talking about his confidence a little bit, I think he's gaining that each lap. Gus is really smart. He's a veteran. He's probably just studying his teammate and seeing where he can make a move late in the race. If he does have a little bit left in him, but it just seems like Alessandro DiMario just looks so smooth. It looks like he's on one of those weekends when you're on another planet. And I'll talk about the guys. Dominic Doyle now a red second sector. This group is starting to kind of close these guys down as Rocco makes a pass.
Now looking at the sector times of this group, they are not all of them personal best, but they're all going through the sectors quicker than what those two front runners are, Alessandro Di Mario and Gus Rodeo. But also, those two know that they have a gap on the rest of the field, and they don't have to push quite like these three do, and they're all battling to get onto that final step of the podium.
Yeah, you see Alessandro's pit board there. There's no radio communication. The P, obviously, first place plus 0.7, and then on the bottom will give you a lap countdown. So that's all the communication these riders have each lap.
When they're coming across these boards, Roger, right at the end of the front straightaway is also where the speed trap is, and you think 126 miles an hour is what Alessandro Di Mario is going when he's seeing that pit board. How difficult is it to get that information each time?
It's really difficult to see. Rossi Moore going to make a move into 5 on Dominic Doyle. We talked about maybe toward the end of the race some guys might run into a little bit of rear grip issue, and it looks like Dom is kind of struggling to keep that pace that he had earlier. You've seen Rocco tell him to tap his tail section. I think Rocco thinks he can pull these guys up to that top group.
Rocco is able to get back into the lead around Dominic Doyle. See if the other two will follow suit. Listen to that communication.
Dominic Doyle was able to get that pass back, and we'll see the last lap. Rocco was 3.5 seconds behind the leaders. You see Rossi Moore, a lot of passing in here, turn 5, hard on the brakes. The big thing is getting it stopped, and Rossi did a great job getting it stopped, and Dominic was able to turn up under him. You kill your drive when you make that pass, and a lot of times you get drafted back by.
See, Rocco is now pulling away, and he certainly isn't going to get that push that he was hoping for. He's looking behind him, wanting those guys to get up a little bit closer, hoping that he can pull him in and get closer to Gus Rodeo and Alessandro Di Mario.
And Rocco, that lap was a couple tenths quicker than those guys, and he's 3.1 seconds. If he's going to catch these guys, he's going to have to be able to catch them more than just a couple tenths a lap. He's going to need to make a big chunk this lap.
Rocco Landers that last lap, not only quicker than those two that are right there behind him, but he's also turning times that are quicker than the front two runners as well. Alessandro Di Mario, the only other rider in the 130s at this point in the race. Gus Rodeo is slowed down to 131. So Rocco certainly has some pace. He might have saved just enough, but 4 laps to go and that gap is still there.
It's still a lot, and we're also in this race too, lappers. And for Alessandro, he's coming around, he sees his pit board that says plus 0.7. That's not really that big of a gap, so now he has to be kind of, it's a tough situation. How aggressive do you want to be when you come up into these lappers? We've seen guys in other classes, you know, lappers make mistakes and get collected in with someone else.
Alessandro Di Mario is your race leader. He has been the pole sitter. You heard him at the start of this race. He crashed out yesterday in the rain, but he was able to get back out there, still earn some championship points. He ended up finishing in 7th. You award points all the way down to 15th, so he still got out and learned something, but it certainly wasn't the race that he was hoping for after being so fast in all of the sessions so far this weekend. But he has his head down today, Roger, and he's going to do everything he can to hold the rest of the field behind him.
Yeah, and he's doing a great job leading this race. You know, first time leading a Twins Cup race and not making any mistakes and being pressured by his teammate. For a young guy, he's just doing a tremendous job. Even when the tires go off, he's still not making any mistakes. He looks like he's in control, and he's just on rails this weekend. Rocco Landers, best first sector, fastest one of anybody, 3 tenths quicker than the guys in front of him. Only 3 laps to go, but Rocco's making a move.
Dominic Doyle lost that position to Rossi Moore when they came through the stripe. You look at that last lap time, he was a 1:42, so certainly something happened to Dominic Doyle.
I know they came into lappers, but and also he might have made a mistake somewhere with those, but definitely lost a lot of time to Rossi Moore.
Watch Rocco Landers now running 3rd and looking for that podium run. Rossi Moore is about 1.5 seconds behind Rocco on the racetrack. We still have 3 laps remaining in this race, but Rocco has found some pace, and he is certainly turning laps that are going to make it a challenge for Rossi Moore to be able to catch him.
He's doing his best times. He did his personal best sector there in the 3rd sector. So for Rocco, he's definitely pushing hard. You can see in the shot how much closer he's getting. Only going to have 2 laps to go this time around.
and he has closed the gap to Gus Rodeo down to 1.1 seconds, only 2.5 seconds up to Alessandro Di Mario. And on that last lap, Rocco Landers was going almost a second faster a lap. So Rocco's definitely the quickest bike out on the racetrack. The question is there enough time?
Maybe enough time for Gus, and Gus is going to be able to look at his pit board and see that somebody is coming, and if he has a little bit more pace, he can maybe pick it up. So we're going to have to watch the split times and see if these guys have a little bit more speed in their back pocket.
You see this aerial shot, and you can see what the gaps look like. Rocco Landers on that first sector, fastest overall was a 15.5. He was 0.3 of a second faster than the race leader, Alessandro Di Mario. As you see them looking over their shoulders, they know that Rocco Landers is right there. Gus Rodeo is going to have to go.
Yeah, he looked back and he's seeing that Rocco is coming, and then just every single section, it looks like Rocco's getting closer. We'll see now that as the sectors pop up, Rocco just continues to do his best sectors, and you can see right now, before this lap is complete, he's going to be on the back of Gus.
Just a couple laps ago, Rocco Landers, was looking over his shoulder, trying to see who was behind him and what that gap was, trying to get some help. But now it is full focus forward as he is trying to get around Gus Rodeo, move up a spot on the podium as they come across, take the white flag. This will be the final lap, and Rocco Landers is right there. When they cross the stripe, it was only 0.2 seconds for Rocco Landers, so less than 0.3 separate these two, and Rocco continuing to push.
And he's really good on the brakes. He's going to set up a good pass here over turn 4, try to put himself up on the inside, down into turn 5, see if he can't make the move on the brakes. We've seen this pass a lot. We've seen guys make the pass but not able to keep it tight and getting a good run off the corner, and Rocco was able to make it stick.
We saw him coming. He's certainly saved enough in the tank to be able to get there. Can he get up to Alessandro Di Mario? Can this gap close anymore for Rocco Landers? He started on the front row in that third position, fell back just a little bit. He's had to claw his way back up, but he is certainly here on this final lap.
I just think he's going to run out of time. He's the fastest rider on track right now, but that last lap, Alessandro had a 1.5-second lead, and I just don't think Rocco can close that down in one lap. Also, Alessandro's riding so well, it's going to be hard to chase him down.
You can see the back of the picture. That was Rossi Moore in 4th place. He was battling for a podium spot early on with Dominic Doyle and Rocco Landers. He is now back there just out of that competition at this point in time as Rocco Landers continuing to look forward. As Alessandro Di Mario is going to catch some lap traffic, is he going to be able to use it up to the checkered flag? And there he goes, collecting another race win, his first race win for Alessandro Di Mario. Rocco Landers finishing in 2nd.
Rocco's last 2 laps, he almost equaled the Twins race lap record. It's 29.46 his last 2 laps. He did 29.4. Incredible last 2 laps for Rocco, but Alessandro Di Mario, what a great ride for this young guy. Overcame some adversity this weekend with a couple crashes. He's been fast and he's able to put it together in today's race, not making any mistakes.
And you see that body language. It looks like he is just overcome with the emotion of it right now and all of that hard work that's been put in. Take a look at the laps that he was able to do today, Roger. Certainly his best lap coming in lap number 2, and that's where that gap was built. It was lap 2 through 7.
And just how consistent he was, and then when the tires went off a little bit, he dropped a couple tenths, but even then he was consistently doing those lap times. And he's been through a lot this weekend. You know, you're really fast, you're a couple seconds quicker than the other guys, and then it rains right before your race, doing really well, and you crash. So yeah, it's tough to overcome a couple crashes, but for him, I think it's a good learning experience, and just leading these races, it's really hard to do, to not make mistakes, and he did a great job.
Yeah, he learned from that mistake yesterday, able to get his first BellissiMoto Twins Cup win today, and you can just see the excitement that he is carrying with him.
Full day race coverage on MotoAmerica Live Plus is brought to you by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series.
And there is Alessandro Di Mario We look ahead to the rest of the season, Roger. Now that his confidence has been proven again, he was quick all weekend. He really came into this pace just little bit by little bit. The rest of the field, now he's got a target on his back.
Yeah, I think they know that he's here. You go back and look at Road Atlanta as well, that first race. He was with that lead group then as well.
Take a look at the highlights here of race number 2 at Barber Motorsports Park.
Yeah, great start there by Rocco Landers there on the inside, getting up the start, and then Gus Rodeo really aggressive early. His teammate is aggressive as well, and these two guys just kind of started pacing themselves, moving away from the rest of the group. We had a big battle with 3rd, 4th, and 5th, but they're looking back to see how big they have to the other guys as they go back and forth. You can see Rocco back there on the orange bike. We thought he was slipping down the order there, and toward the end, we thought it was just going to come down to these two guys going to battle for the win. But mid-race, a couple laps ago, Rocco woke up. Good battle there with Dominic Doyle, was able to make it past these two guys, put his head down and did some really good laps those last couple laps, and was able to chase those guys down. But today it was all about the Alessandro DeMario and Gus Rodeo. You see Rocco making the move. That was in turn 5 on the last lap. Alessandro DeMario got the win. Rocco Landers, great ride by him, and also Gus Rodeo. It's just so consistent this year at the podium.
You see Alessandro DeMario there with the race win, his first in the BellissiMoto Twins Cup category. Rocco Landers in second was able to close that gap down to just over 0.7 of a second. Gus Rodeo, another solid finish for him. Rossi Moore, Jack Roach, Dominic Doyle ended up in 6th. We saw him battling for that final position on the podium. Our race winner from yesterday, Avery Dreyer, back there in 10th.
Yeah, and Sean Varsity, great to see him get back up after that accident yesterday. 11th, Tyler Duffy, Jeff Bean, 13th. Jeffrey Perk there, 14th. And getting the last point of the day is Trevor Standish there, 15th.
We look to the rest of the field. Ned Brown, Rich Foster, Rodney Best. All of these riders worked so hard to stay out here, complete in both of the races here this weekend in very challenging, changing conditions. So certainly happy to see all of them be able to finish this race today. But it was all about Alessandro DeMario, and he has certainly earned the right to be able to celebrate this one. Let's get it down to Michael Hill, who is there with our winner.
Yeah, rider's not fully in position because there's so much celebration going on down here, and the first hug for Alessandro DeMario, of course, coming from his mom. So let's get a quick word with Alessandro. Alessandro, we can forgive you for not being in position when we're ready to start the interviews. That was a fantastic race. As I said on the grid, you've been quick all weekend. Your first win in Twins Cup. Congratulations, young man.
Thank you. First of all, I want to thank my team, everybody that worked on my bike. The bike was amazing. I felt a little sick before the race, so it was definitely... I'm so tired right now. I don't think I could have done one more lap, but and yeah, you know, everything went to plan, kinda. I got a pretty bad start, but I was able to recover, and I want to thank my brother, who's out there serving for the country in Japan, in the Marine Corps. So thank you, and thank you to my family. You know, Kevin. Congrats to, you know, Gus and Rocco. They're my favorite people in this class. So pretty excited. And yeah, thank you to everybody, all my sponsors. Thank you.
Yeah, nicely done. Congratulations. Yeah, come on, there's still a big crowd here. Big round of applause. Keep that applause going for this guy, P2 Rocco Landers, almost breaking the lap record in the last couple of laps. Seemed as though half race distance, something changed, and all of a sudden you got the feeling, and that was one hell of a final half of the race. Great job, solid 20 points. Good job.
Yeah, we made a small change before the race, and it ended up panning out for us. I had to change my riding style quite a bit there mid-race, and that was where that change came from. But dude, one more lap and I'd have won that race, I swear to God. But that was awesome. My team has busted their butts all weekend. This bike has been a work in progress, and Suzuki's been working super hard to help us keep building on what we've accomplished already. And coming into this race, we didn't really know what was going to happen. We made a serious tire gamble, and it ended up paying off. But I mean, I'm happy. My whole team worked so hard. Our fab guy Josh, team manager Craig, obviously Terry Vance, my crew chief Steve, my chassis mechanic Matt, my mechanic for the baggers Quentin. He deserves a shout out. He's always helping us out. Everyone. I mean, this was a good race for me.
Yeah, it certainly was, and I tell you what, that confidence is only going to build, isn't it? And for sure. Rocco Landers will be confident for the rest of the season, as will this guy. Disappointing day yesterday with those visor fogging problems, but it's a podium for the championship leader, Gus Rodeo, and he knows from last year you've got to get points on the board to win a championship. You can't win it in Atlanta, you can't win it here, but you've certainly added some valuable points. A solid race today, well done.
Thank you. Yeah, kind of compared to last year, obviously it can't get much worse, and I'm happy to be standing up here. So we got valuable points this weekend through some troubles that we had, and I'm ready to get to my favorite track, Road America. So shout out to the whole team. Thank you guys, Day and Easy, HJC, everybody in my corner. I appreciate you guys, and to Road America.
Yeah, absolutely, to Road America. That is, of course, the next round of the championship. The BellissiMoto Twins Cup wraps up here. We don't have long to wait, do we, guys? It's just 2 weeks till the next round. I just want to say, Jamie and Roger, before I hand back to you, I've thoroughly enjoyed being back. Thanks for making me feel so welcome. I love this championship, as do the fans, and I can't wait for Road America. It's going to be great.
No, it's certainly great to have you back as part of the team here this weekend. I know you'll be back at Road America as well, so safe travels as you go back home. Let's take a look at the championship standings here in BellissiMoto Twins Cup. 109 points. Gus Rodeo in the lead. Rocco Landers right there, 15 points behind. But Alessandro DiMario with that win today, Roger, he's coming.
Yeah, really closed the gap to those guys, and just having a unfortunate accident yesterday. And I think he'll be ready to go to Road America as well. Everybody loves that track, and I'm looking forward to it as well.
You know, it's crazy to think that for BellissiMoto Twins Cup, when we get to Road America, we're going to hit the halfway point of their championship season. They have 14 rounds in total. Those will be rounds 7 and 8. So still a lot to look forward to. On behalf of the men and women who make up the MotoAmerica TV crew, thank you everybody for sticking with us all weekend long. We will be back for more in just a couple of weeks' time.